What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Liddy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. What a wild doubleheader today. I ended up on the over of 8.5 strikeouts for Spencer Strider at major plus money. Of course, beat by the hook. Game one. And then continuing on. We are bottom 9, 2 outs. Eduardo Escobar, former Minnesota Twin Eduardo Escobar, screws that up. Braves still win 9-8, but the run line doesn't hit. So wild stuff there. At least game 2, salvaged a lot of the damage there. Got the under across there. So 2 locks in the early going. Whew, it was awfully sweating. Was looking for a more relaxed morning than that, but such is life. We're just getting into the meat and potatoes here of the MLB stuff. Ended up on Cincinnati money line. We'll talk about that a little bit later on Tuesday's card as well. But check out FanDuel Sportsbook if you haven't already. We also have DraftKings Sportsbook down there in the video description box below. Running identical Bet 5, get $150 offers right now in bonus bets. Don't know why they're doing it together. They tend to copycat each other from time to time, but hey, it's all right. As long as you're signing up, taking advantage of everything these books are offering as promotions to sign up, that's the name of the game. That's why it's called Odd Shopper. We are shopping for the best odds every single day. And as such, we have 15 games in the MLB streets that we're going to be discussing here on this Tuesday, per usual. Get you out of here in a nice clean 30. Also, give some love to new producer Jacob here, hanging out here on the program. Wave to him virtually. Hello, Jacob. Hey, I can see him. You can't, so that's a little bit awkward. But FanDuel Sportsbook, definitely be checking them out. It's only if you're 21 and over, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, 15 games to get to. Big Tuesday slate. Let's get ourselves to the picks. Another lock. Signing up for as many sportsbooks as you possibly can. And if you're not at FanDuel Sportsbook, which is, I don't know, them and DraftKings, the 2 largest we have in North America, you're doing yourself a disservice. One, because of how big they are, they can offer some of the best lines. We're talking about places constantly that when you look at Odd Shopper, which you can also sign up for in the video description box below, when you're shopping for those best lines routinely, FanDuel on money lines, totals, everything you could possibly want, FanDuel is one of the best you could possibly be signing up at. If you wanted to bet the Braves tomorrow, best line currently available right now at FanDuel. The Mets tomorrow, best line, FanDuel. Something like the Yankees, best line, you got it. It'd be funny if I said DraftKings, but no, FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up right now, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets right now. All you do, sign up in the video description box below. It takes you about 90 seconds to do so. Get yourself involved at one of the best sports books in the entire game at FanDuel. It's only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And hey, let's say you have FanDuel Sportsbook. Lots of other offers down there, whether it's Bet365, just available in Colorado, Ohio, Virginia, and New Jersey, or our friends at DraftKings running this exact same offer. So check it out. Sign up for it. Water's warm. Dive on in. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks. To the games we go, and Bryce Elder here on the mound for the Atlanta Braves as they visit Lone Depot Park, or I can't get over it not being Marlins Park. Let's just call it Marlins Park. But Sandy Alcantara here on the mound, the Cy Young winner from 2022, has not been very Cy Young-like. I don't really know what to make of it because it just seems like the strikeouts were never really there last year. But he was getting by on efficiency. He was throwing upper 90s heat, just throwing it by guys with fastballs from time to time. But a 5.04 ERA, 1.15 whip. I think he's been getting a little bit unlucky, but I also think the 274 expected batting average just kind of is what it is. He was never some flamethrower, and a 4.93 expected ERA is kind of showing you that. Now, flamethrower in regards to, yes, he throws with velocity, but the sinker just not generating the swings and misses you would expect from a prototypical ace. So the negative regression from the 2.92 expected ERA last season to this year is just coming to a head. Maybe he starts figuring it out, but I'm just going to be showing a little bit of apprehension here. Again, still throwing that 98 mile per hour fastball. We'll be paying very close attention to him going forward. As for Elder, kind of the exact opposite end of the coin because, well, he's been getting by despite some stuff that shows very, very telling. 52.4% hard hit percentage. An interesting singer-slider matchup for himself. Low 90s, upper 80s type fastball. That's just weird to look at as well for a major league pitcher. But a 2.17 ERA is due to get smacked up soon. 5.06 expected ERA. do we expect it to happen against the Fish, against the Marlins here? I don't really see it. They've got a 25% K rate against right-handed pitching and an 85 WRC plus. Nothing that looks all too appealing there. So because of the ballpark, because of Sandy's, Sandy, well, I don't really have a grease joke. Under 8 is where I'm going to be liking the play here in this one. I just don't trust the Miami lineup, and I do think Elder can just fly by them if he's just kind of getting it going, even with balls in play there. So Acuna, got to pay attention to his status. Would really like him to be taking the under here of this, or to have him be out for the under of 8 to be sitting here. But such is life. That's a piece of news we'll have to be paying attention to. As always, if you have a question about this game, hit me up on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. Next up, we go to Detroit, which is not at the top of my list of places I want to go at the moment, but you know what? Sure, it's nice. Sure, there's some suburbs, or there's good suburbs everywhere. Detroit, Mets coming off of the doubleheader where they lost both ends of the set there to the Braves, and yeah, going in opposite directions here. But the Mets lining up very closely. It sounds like Wednesday, Thursday, you're looking at Scherzer and Verlander. And in the meantime, Joey Lucchesi, who's been pretty good now. Lucchesi through 2 starts, 2.19 ERA, 1.05 whip, 1-0 record, all the things. Now, he's another guy that just kind of gets by with an interesting array of pitches, mainly just trying to throw curveballs around dudes, and seems to be working to his advantage here at the moment. The cutter, curve, sinker, not really a fastball guy, never going to have velocity, but still, the RPMs on that thing way up, hence the 25.5% K rate, getting swings and misses. And Michael Lorenzen on the other side used to be an outfielder for the Cincinnati Reds, fun fact. Pitched for the Angels last year and this year, picking up where he left off with the Detroit Tigers, and not in a good way. A 476 expected slugging, a 44.2% hard hit percentage. Nothing good, nothing enjoyable. In fact, a second straight like to get the day going. Yes, the New York Mets money line. Oh, yeah, nothing like backing a team that's been struggling, but I'm a little bit confused why this line is sitting where it is, sitting right around -130, -135, pretty much everywhere right now. This Mets lineup's way better than Detroit's, because he's way better than Michael Lorenzen. Almost locked it, but I've got 2 other plays that I like a little bit more. So Mets money line, it makes the cut, second straight like to get the day rolling. And we keep rolling over to Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh. We're waiting on a couple of pieces of news from the Tampa Bay side. Hence, Josh Fleming. You might have Junior Guerra coming, or Javi Guerra, excuse me. Junior Guerra. Man, that's a guy I haven't said his name in a long time, but Javi Guerra, just a bullpen arm there. Looking at a true bullpen type situation with Josh Fleming maybe putting up some innings. We did see 6 innings from him, 69 pitches there against Houston recently. Now, he's okay. The southpaw is 1.29 whip, 3.26 ERA so far, but I don't know. Inducing ground balls is kind of the name of the game, and he's not going to be missing bats. And this Pittsburgh team has been really flying of late. I don't know exactly what to make of it, but Tampa Bay, they're pretty good. They can play the matchup game there in Tropicana. As for the Tampa Bay matchup, they're going up against Roansy Contreras, who's been the quote-unquote ace of the Pirates staff. Again, it's so confusing that they're good. A 3.58 ERA, 1.34 whip. There is some negative regression that's probably due for that one. And hey, against this team on the other side, they got some lefties in that lineup. And in fact, I have 2 home run recommendations here for this one. I'm paying attention to the lefties in this Tampa Bay lineup going up against Roansy Contreras, specifically Luke Raley, who I'm not going to be betting yet because I expect him, after the double dong he just put up last time he was in the lineup, to have some inflated type numbers there in the old prop streets from Sunday. So I'm looking at the Lowe and Lau combination. Yes, Brandon Lau, Josh Lowe. Spelled the same, said differently, not confusing in any way, shape, or form. But Brandon Lau has routinely been batting up against right-handed pitchers at the top of this Tampa Bay lineup. As a leadoff guy, when you have a 54.5% hard hit percentage, 529 expected sluggings, and you murder righties, that's pretty exciting. Now, Josh Lau, a 537 expected slugging. He's actually even a little bit better here for the lefty with a 17.4 degree launch angle. Kind of coming up roses in terms of projections up against right-handed pitchers for me now. Just a 35.6% hard hit percentage. Probably due for a little regression, but so far, so good here on the season. I just think we back both of them in the home run markets so long as the numbers are good. Hence, it's a lean. That's why we always talk about these home runs from a lean perspective. I would be looking at north plus a 300 for my guy, Brandon Lau. If it's below that, definitely don't bet it. And Josh, we're looking at north of plus 380. That's kind of the meridian line, if you will, for me. That's basically it that I have from this game right now. Two prospective props, if you will. Got to see those numbers at the books tomorrow, but assuming they're good to go, I am going to be firing up this Tampa Bay team quite a bit here against righties. 145 WRC plus, ridiculous 245 ISO, and mainly led by these two lefties. So, hey, I think it's a pretty good spot to be targeting power. Now, this game's going to fly here a little bit. Just disgusting. We have Hayden Wesneski, who actually was shut down last time out. A little bit frustrating because we were on the Padres for that one, and I've been on the Cubs a lot of late, so that was the worst. Going up against Trevor Williams on the other side, who has never been good, despite what it says on top of his hat. Every single team he plays for, they've been getting this terrible 574 expected slugging version. This guy who doesn't strike out guys, 15% K rate so far this season. I don't really understand how he gets by with anything here. Suppose because the walk rate sits around 5%. He keeps hard contact down to a certain extent, but God, a 574 expected slugging is still going to bite you, sir. So there's that. But Hayden Wesneski, 15% K rate himself. It's so hard because I definitely want to be backing this Chicago Cubs lineup. They're showing it right now against Mackenzie Gore. They have some potency. And that's why I'm going to be leaning towards the Cubs side, the wisdom, the Suzuki, and getting Cody Bellinger back in that lineup. Dansby Swanson from the right side. Trey Mancini is due to start hitting eventually, right? Right? Let's hope so. Yan Gomes had to leave that game early, so maybe you're going to have a left catcher in there, or Tucker Barnhart, I suppose, who I think is their backup catcher at the moment, but he's terrible at batting. I'm just looking at the Cubs money line. Just don't think there's enough value at the current number sitting around minus 140. Would like to see that south of that. Maybe then we can add it to the card, but right now, not too appealing, even against a gas can like Trevor Williams. Welcome to the main event, though. Oh, baby. I have 90s Bull swag in my head at the moment as we break down Garrett Cole, the New York Yankees. Garrett Cole would definitely be up there in terms of Cy Young in the AL. Would have definitely been Spencer Strider in the NL, but I'm a little upset with him at the moment. 6-1, and we can't get the run line across with the best pitcher in the NL right now. Whatever. But let's talk Tanner Beebe, who just looked awesome, and I do mean awesome, in his debut for the Cleveland Guardians. I didn't know what to expect coming off of some of his AAA numbers, and you don't want to get too hyped up until you see the Hunter Browns really show it there. But one thing that happens when you see East Coast pitching, you can get away from some of those PCL type ridiculously inflated numbers you get here on the West Coast. But one of the things you want to see is that these guys can translate immediately in terms of velocity and what that put away pitch looks like. Well, we saw 44% slider usage in his debut, and it was moving. And I do mean moving. 2725. So 2,725 RPMs in the spin department on his slider. If that maintains and the 95 mile per hour fastball exists there coming off of a different, just a different portion of the plate, you are going to see this dude strike out everybody at the big league level. We now have Aaron Judge sitting on the IL, the 10-day IL. They just officially put him on there with that hip issue. This New York Yankees lineup is going to be garbage. And Cleveland, talked about it constantly. I don't like their lineup, especially against righties. An 88 WRC plus, a 19% K rate is great, but a 10.3% walk rate, they're not getting on base and stealing bags. It's going to be really hard to find run creation, especially against the best pitcher in the AL so far this season in Garrett Cole. He's just doing what he always does, around a 30% K rate, a 260 xWOBA. Everything looks great on his end. Nice to see him back up to snuff immediately from the get-go. Sometimes takes him a little while to get sputtering and get going during the course of the season. But in Yankee Stadium, without all of the big boppers in the Yankees lineup, and then this Cleveland lineup having to face the best pitcher in the AL, pretty clear-cut spot to jam. And I do mean jam the under of 7.5 by far. By far my favorite play here on the day. So yeah, Tuesday, gonna really be invested in this one. Think Beebe and Cole go nuts. Enjoy it under 7.5, a lock. Let's go. We got my Minnesota Twins and an absolute stud in Joe Ryan on the mound going up against Michael Kopech, who once upon a time was a very highly touted stud himself, and boy, have things gone south for him. A 642 expected slugging, 58.1% hard hit percentage. And that's not great when you have a 60% fastball usage and you're getting no swings and misses, and you have a 23% barrel rate on this season. That's egregious. It's very good. It's no good. It's terrible. Like, don't do that. But do it today because you're facing my team. Joe Ryan on the mound here for my Minnesota Twins, and really glad to be so wrong about this guy. Wasn't positive what we were going to get out of our starters, but between him, Sonny Gray, Pablo Lopez, life is good if you're Minnesota. Joe Ryan, a 250 xWOBA, 29.3% K rate, picking up where he left off. I didn't know if teams were going to figure him out, considering basically a two-pitch pitcher. But hey, if you have this splitter that's working, the split finger, if you will, the split finger changeup type, along with a tiny bit of sweeper usage, but that and the four-seamer are just awesome right now. If you have a four-seamer that you're getting a 29.5% whiff percentage and 31.3% put-away percentage on, good Lord, are you going to be effective at the big league level, especially against the White Sox. Now, they have an 85 WRC plus, 22.8% K rate, and you look at some of the individual hitters in that lineup, I do expect positive regression for them sooner rather than later. And that has me a little bit apprehensive to be backing Minnesota as such a big favorite here on the road. So yes, I won't be biased. Even though I'm going to be leaning my team. I think there's better spots on the board than laying minus 150 best current available line. It's not going to get better than that. So I think this whole game is probably a write-off. Hey, maybe we just play Joey Gallo home run every single day. Now, if I could go back in time, I might amend this and make this Joey Gallo home run. It's always fun. Do you know he's very good and hits the ball hard? Look at me doing analysis. Minnesota money line, just a lean. We make it on our merry way. Off to Fenway we go. This will be a fun one. Well, not because of betting anything here, but Yusei Kikuchi. Every day used to be Kikuchi Day last season, but boy, it's good to be early on some of these things, but we have pumped the brakes hard on targeting him. Jose Barros didn't get off to a great start this afternoon. We'll see how it finishes out, but him going up against Tanner Houck, who also is just not all that appealing. Now, Kikuchi, the southpaw, 477 expected slugging. Not great, but better than we saw last year. And the 26.4% K rate along with a sub 6% walk rate, he's obviously made improvements. And while I can't really necessarily find anything that's drastically different outside of just those specific numbers, well, velocity looks about half a mile per hour faster, so that's cool. The sliders getting just a lot more swings and misses, but swings and misses were never his issue. It was simply, can we avoid the walks? 12.8% walk rate last year, which was one of the worst in baseball. And can you avoid the big innings? And so far, so good for Kikuchi. That bodes well here for Toronto, having him back in that rotation. As for Tanner Houck, he's just not an arm I'm ever going to be backing in a prominent way, and that makes the Toronto money line a pretty easy lean here. Now, again, books, they're not stupid. This is a pretty obvious spot where you would want to be backing a Toronto lineup that is firing on all cylinders. And yes, minus 110 looks really, really good. But I'm still having a tough time trusting Kikuchi based off of all of the sample size last year and the units upon units that we gathered backing teams against him. So maybe this is a little bit of a, as the Red Hot Chili Peppers would say, scar tissue that I wish you saw. Yeah, I got a little bit of that. So Toronto money line, just a lean for me. Oh, but I do want to fire it so bad. Let's talk homers, shall we? I know you guys always want to have those homers, and well, pretty good spot here. We got Mr. Wells, Tyler Wells here going for the Baltimore Orioles, who I find to be, dare I say it, the best pitcher so far in this Orioles rotation. Well, yeah, the righty, really putting up some good stuff. He's going to be going up against Ryan Yarbrough, who's just horrendous, terrible, not very good. Only a 9.3% K rate, one of the worst numbers for starting pitchers in the bigs. The Royals, they don't have a whole lot of options. Might want to work on that eventually. But a 304 expected batting average and a 465 expected slugging, even though you're seeing just a 30.5% hard hit percentage, there's certain bats that hit the ball so damn hard that I kind of don't care. And one of those bats I expect to have better than plus 300 in this matchup, and that is Ryan Mountcastle. Yes, I do not want to be betting this inside of plus 300, but one nice thing about going to Kansas City, you're going to see some inflated home run numbers because Kauffman Stadium, not exactly the most homer-friendly ballpark in all of the bigs. And at a 599 expected slugging, 389 xWOBA, the righty Mountcastle going up against a lefty here in Yarborough, the pieces just kind of fit, like spaghetti and meatballs. Or like that guy from Big Daddy, lamb and tuna fish. Big Daddy, that was a good movie. Why doesn't anybody quote that one anymore? Do people not like it? Whatever. Deep thoughts with Eric Lindquist. Ryan Mountcastle to home run. My lean here, as long as that number's sitting in the 3s or the 4s, which I totally expect to. Otherwise, hey, it's sadly off the card. Oh boy, let's play another righty masher, shall we? And no, I wish it was Mike Trout, but you're never going to see the best numbers on Mike Trout, although it's going to be in play for me going up against Steven Matz and the Cardinals here. Another ballpark that's not super homer friendly, but you know what is? Both of these lineups in these matchups, Patrick Sandoval going here for the Angels, and I would find his performance so far this year disappointing. Just a 17.7% K rate, 10.6% walk rate. At least he's limiting some of the hard contact. That is a definite plus, but kind of a necessity because everything else in his game has tailed off from what I expected after the World Baseball Classic, where he just looked dominant. Now, some of those lineups were glorified AAA lineups, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's not like they were facing the USA every single time out, but a 3.16 ERA, 1.29 whip, 2-1 record, decent enough stuff here. Just not in love with the overall arsenal and the inability to get swings and misses when you start playing, I don't know, Paul Goldschmidt. Well, I would say Nolan Arenado, but he's been the worst hitter in this Cardinals lineup. That's a conversation for a different day. Let's actually talk Hunter Renfroe going up against Steven Matz, because when you have Taylor Ward performing as poorly as he is, and then you have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani as protection ahead of you, it's really good to be Hunter Renfroe and Anthony Rendon sitting in the middle of that lineup. And Rendon, a 285 expected batting average has been awesome, but just a 381 expected slugging for him. That's where the power of Renfroe is just kind of coming to fruition. A 48.2% hard hit percentage. Even Brandon Drury sitting there around 48.4%. And I find that middle of the Angels lineup to be really, really appealing. So far this season against lefties, a 126 WRC plus, that's 5th best in baseball for the Angels. And I know a lot of that is Mike Trout being Mike Trout, but a lot of other pieces have to be coming together to have a WRC plus over 120. It can't be just one guy unless, well, it was Paul Goldschmidt against lefties last year for the Cardinals who inflated those numbers. But Drury, Rendon, I do expect Hunter Renfroe, though, to possibly have the most appealing numbers out of it. So I'm going to put Hunter Renfroe to home run as the official lean, but pay very close attention to these numbers. If you get Drury, if it gets north of plus 450, I think there's definitely some viability to firing that one up. But assuming we're getting 400 or better on Renfroe, confirmed lefty masher his entire career, fire that one up. To Texas we go with a game that I am having a really tough time handicapping. And if you got something figured out, let me know. It's my dude, Zach Gallen. Yeah, my dude. Been talking about him for a year and a half. Now he's just absolutely just smashing faces. Going up against John Gray on the other side of this one. And big news in terms of the lineup here. Corbin Carroll getting an MRI on Monday. I have not seen the results of that, or if he's going to be flying to Texas and possibly could be in this lineup if that comes up roses. Feels like that's a lot of things to ask. So I am assuming he is out for this one right now, and that is a massive, massive deal if you talk about the projection for this. And I think it's being projected for a little bit. Now, one individual hitter isn't going to swing a line in a massive way, but it's certainly going to change the profile when it's somebody like Corbin Carroll, who through this season has 10 stolen bases, a 309 average, 4 homers, 9 ribbies, 910 OPS, one of the best young players in baseball at this given point in time. Now, Pavin Smith, lefty, going up against John Gray. That's going to be somebody who could be put into outfield duty if need be. He's generally a first baseman, but has played some outfield. So for the sake of the projected lineup, I did insert him into the middle of this. And that makes it at least a decent lefty to have out there. And, they'll probably have to put Christian Walker playing there at first. You have a number of DH options, probably Evan Longoria. But either way, not trying to talk you through the process of how I put the projected lineups together. I should talk you through the process about why I like the over of 7.5. Now, Zach Gallen has been unbelievable, and he's my dude. A 238 xWOBA, a 36.2% K rate, a 3.5% walk rate, legitimately one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball over the course of the last month. But this Texas Rangers team is on another planet against right-handed pitching this season. A 120 WRC plus, a 187 ISO, a 788 OPS, my dear sweet Jesus, Oh, my Lord. Little John Lennon for you, too. I just don't really know what to say other than lean towards the over because something has to give there. Either Zach Gallen is that guy that I thought he could be for a long time, and this is actually going to just continue as we get into the summer months, or there's going to be negative regression when he starts facing some better put together lineups with Jonah Heim, Adolis Garcia, Nathaniel Lau, another Lau. So many lows and lows on this slate. It's just wild stuff. But either way, I'm going to be leaning the over of 7.5 here, even though it doesn't make the cut. Strongly considering it if this number can drop down just a little bit. Don't want to be getting carried away on this card and have like 8 totals or something. But this is one I really think, because you're seeing some 8s around there as well. DraftKings specifically, I know, has this at 8. 7.5, the over of it, definitely where I'd be going. Oh God, more totals are coming down the pipeline. Hey, I don't make the projections. I don't make the lines, okay? All I do is I analyze them, put them in the lovely little machine. We check out oddshopper.com, the best place to be shopping for your lines. And hey, to also be using a market-based approach, which is a huge part of it, getting the best lines at every single book that you possibly can. Speaking of which, that's where this game gets a little bit wild for me. The San Francisco Giants going up against the Houston Astros, and talked about him a little bit earlier. Hunter Brown, absolute stud. Just getting his feet wet here in the major leagues. Anthony Desclafani on the other side has been in the big leagues for the Giants. Really tough matchup for that righty going up against Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, pretty much anybody on Houston. When's Altuve coming back? Seems like never. But either way, a 50% hard hit percentage is not good. 464 expected slugging. We're starting to see him come down to earth after a really good couple of starts there. Still has a sub 3 ERA. 2.70 ERA, 0.93 whip. That is great stuff. There's really no besmirching that, but we've now seen him give up 4 homers in his last 3 outings. Some of the launch angle stuff is starting to trend up, and when you have 2 mashers in Kyle Tucker and Jordan Alvarez from the left side at the top of that lineup, it's going to expose you really quickly. Also, a lot of speed on the base path, so there you go. Houston, confirmed pretty good at baseball. As for Hunter Brown, one of my favorite pitchers in baseball already. A 2.37 ERA, 1.06 whip, 3-0 record, everything he was expected to be, and probably a little bit more with a 273 xWOBA. The 4-seamer slider curve combo is just killer right now. And really what it does is it reaches every corner of the plate. His location has been on just like it's real estate. Now an 8.3% walk rate, if that can just maintain there, we don't see any spike. Just like, last year, 8.8% walk rate. So I don't expect a whole lot of negative regression there. This slider, which is his primary pitch of the 3, is just going to keep people off balance. He is going to be an absolute problem here at the Bigs for years to come, staying healthy. So the 24-year-old out of Wayne State, oh, baby. Yes, Bruce Wayne. Some men just want to watch the world burn. And me, I'm one of them. Under 8. Give me both pitchers here in this one. Yeah, Desclafani, he's definitely the weaker one of it. And if you wanted to piece together Houston with the under, I don't completely hate that play whatsoever, but don't think there's enough value to necessarily have that be a piece that we want to get to. You do have Mike Yastrzemski, who's going to be on the IL here going forward, but with Haniger back, it's a pretty good bat that, I don't want to go out of my way to be picking on this team too much, but Houston, rightfully favored, under of 8, rightfully my favorite play from it. It gets the leg treatment. Let's pop open a Coors and go to Coors. That sounds like a nice little Tuesday evening festivity. We got the Colorado Rockies hosting the Milwaukee Brewers. Freddie Peralta, fastball thrower, like almost 100% fastball usage. Says 54%, but let's be serious. The slider's kind of fastballish. The changeup, curve are just not good pitches. So just throw in fastballs. It's a good thing for Coors. We'll get to it. But Ryan Feltner on the other side of this one, been pretty good. Finally starting to piece some good stuff together here at the Bigs. The 12.7% walk rate for the Ohio State grad, that's a little worrisome for me, but 4.15 expected ERA, 4.68 ERA. And the key part, he's finding ways to be a little bit successful at home. Not in a crazy way, but again, you're going to see some major splits for these guys, home and away games. Now, 5.40 ERA so far at home, and just 1 game started. Last season was abysmal. I think we're going to see him find some success here, especially against a Milwaukee lineup that I don't find all that appealing at the moment. Do people really like them? I don't know. They've been better against right-handed pitching, no doubt about that, with a 103 WRC plus, 742 OPS, but I guess I'm just not in love with the individual pieces. If you don't get Yelich playing up to MVP levels, if you don't get Winker playing a little bit better here, more of a platoon guy at this point in his career, I don't know. I don't find them to be a team that I want to be going too nuts with. So definitely not going to have a side in this one. But I think the under of 11.5 might be where I go simply because of Freddie Peralta's prowess. Fastball usage. Get a little bit nervous about the launch angle from time to time, seeing it north of 16 degrees in this atmosphere, but a 338 expected slugging, 284 xWOBA, and knowing that he doesn't have some kind of breaking pitch that he relies on to really get those swings and misses, to really get himself through when you get to altitude and the ball isn't breaking as much, I think he can find ways to still be successful, even in a difficult ballpark, the most difficult ballpark for a pitcher to be pitching in. So under 11.5, but because I have 94,000 other totals here on today's slate, think it's just going to remain a lean. Get me away from totals. I can't quit it, though. I just can't. Oh, there's going to be an I can't quit you, Joe. I don't know. I would have liked that movie. It just needed to be better. It wasn't a good movie. But Seattle Mariners taking on the Oakland Athletics here. We have a Miller on Miller matchup. Mason Miller, he's the more appealing one, I think, going forward for the Oakland Athletics. A 30.6% K rate is awfully good so far this season. A 387 expected slugging. The hard hit a little bit worrisome at 63.6%, but you're pitching in Oakland, just like if you were pitching in Seattle. That's a really good spot to be as well. But when handicapping this one, I had to go on a deep dive for Bryce Miller. Yes, Bryce Miller making a debut here for the Seattle rotation. Interesting 2022 there, 3.16 ERA. But it's a pretty large sample size that we had in the minors, but I don't know. Facing Oakland, that's good. Got to get by Brent Rooker, who is just going to homer every single day, I suppose. I think the major thing here for me is that as good as Miller, well, the Oakland Miller's been, and how as good as the Seattle Miller could be, still think these lineups are going to do just enough to possibly get to him. And it's just a game that I think I want to be staying away from. Might find a Mason Miller prop or two that's pretty appealing. Have you seen the Seattle Mariners lineup? There's some strikeouts to be had. Now, Ty France will never strike out. Colton Wong, JP Crawford, they're at the bottom of this lineup. But Julio Rodriguez, 27.6%. Jared Kelenic, who's had an awesome year, 27.7% K rate. Suarez, 30% K rate. Teoscar Hernandez, 32.5% K rate. Cal Raleigh, the hero of the other day, 2-homer double dong day on Sunday, 32.3%. And Taylor Trammell, who had to be forced into duty, hit a grand slam against Toronto, 40% K rate. Just saying, there's some strikeouts to be had in this one. So maybe I look at a K prop, K ladder, if you will, for Mason Miller, but more than likely over 8. Probably going to be the lean here. Just don't want to be betting anything else in this one. Well, I got disgusting on Monday. Ended up adding Cincinnati money line. Just wanted to target Blake Snell is what it comes down to, but I think I'm going to be throwing Cincinnati money line on this card too. Let's talk through it. Graham Ashcraft. I'm still not a believer. And I saw her face. Now, I'm still not a believer. Without a trace, no doubt in my mind. Lots of doubts in my mind, more than like it. Michael Wacha on the other side. Waka, 555 expected slugging, 383 xWOBA. It's just not all that good. Now, we're going to see those random spike games where he has a good feel for his fastball, and he'll just mow down dudes like he did against Atlanta. Did you watch that game? I did, unfortunately. Of course, I bet against him. 6 innings, 10 Ks, but since then, it's definitely tailed off. Not all that good. A 6.75 ERA, 1.58 whip. And he's going to be this big of a favorite against anybody? Yeah, I got to do it because so far, even though I don't love Graham Ashcraft, he's been awesome. A 335 expected slugging, a 19.5% K rate. We'd like that to come up. I'd like him to stop walking guys too, considering I'm going to be backing him for today and probably today only. But a 2.10 ERA, 1.17 whip. I get it. San Diego has some murderers, some absolute dudes in that lineup, but I do not care, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham, and I do not like backing San Diego as massive favorites with Michael Wacha on the mound. So Cincinnati money line is on the card, and I almost locked it, but plus 150 or higher. If you get that right now, it's at DraftKings Sportsbook Caesars, and then Bet365 best line available, plus 155. Damn you, 4 states. It needs to get other prices real quick. But Cincinnati money line, it's on the card for a like. Let's head to the last game of the night. And it's been a while. we haven't locked anything for a while, so let's kind of do that, shall we? We got Julio Urias on the mound here for the Dodgers going up against Matt Strahm. And Matt Strahm, another southpaw. So yeah, battle of the southpaws here in this one, like it's a boxing match. So I don't know many like left-on-left boxing matches. I haven't seen one of those in a while. Anyway, Matt Strahm, 36% K rate is outrageous so far. 267 xWOBA, 185 expected bat average. This guy's kind of come out of the middle of nowhere. 2.31 ERA, 0.81 whip. I think you just kind of believe that he's doing some good stuff right now. Now, the Dodgers did get Will Smith back, so that's a huge bat. Probably the most important bat for the Dodgers in terms of positionality. The best hitting catcher in baseball at the moment. Has been for like a year and a half, so there's that. JT Realmuto from time to time, but over the course of the entire sample size, it's definitely been Will Smith. But Philly, they're getting a bat back on Tuesday. Have you heard of Bryce Harper? He seems pretty good. But I gotta say, is that super appealing left on left against Urias? I don't know. I think Julio Urias has been getting a little bit unlucky this season too. And it's pretty easy to see when you have a 3.66 expected ERA and a 4.41 ERA. But you're gonna get another lefty in the mix there. You're probably getting Brandon Marsh, who's been sublime so far this season, out of the lineup. Because how do you take Castellanos out? How do you take Schwarber out? Probably moving Josh Harrison into this, probably playing him at third base, I assume, putting Bryce Harper back into right. Maybe I'm just overthinking this, but my projected lineup for this has this game way under 8.5. My second favorite play on the board, the under of 8.5 between the bullpens. Now, Philly's bullpen needs to tighten it up a little bit here, but we're talking about Julio Urias, who's had some really unlucky stuff. One of the best spinners of the fastball in baseball. The hard hit has been up from 30.4% last year to 35.5%. And it feels weird for the return of Trey Turner here to be targeting him with a lefty. We just kind of got to do it here, my friends. Under 8.5 runs. I don't know how the number is this high. I'd be surprised if it didn't move to 8 at almost every book by lock tomorrow. So FanDuel Sportsbook, that's where this one is. Under 8.5, lock central, my friends. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Check out FanDuel Sportsbook if you haven't already. Bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have any questions about this card, hit me up in the comment section below. Hit me up on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. Happy to help you. And again, give a warm welcome to producer Jacob here, hanging out there. He's just chilling, waking up in Vegas, doing all the things there. So thanks to my guy, Jacob. Glad to have him along for the ride. Until Wednesday, my friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Tuesday.